If we look back on 6 decades of the history of the modern state of Israel, unfortunately we see, and anyone who visits Israel sees, military cemeteries everywhere, monuments to different battles, people, young men and women running around in military uniforms, soldiers and guns. It's a very militarized country. But what we don't appreciate is how miraculous the rebirth of the Jewish state of Israel is. If you think about it, the Holocaust ended in 1945. That was when 70% of the Jews of Europe, in the largest slaughter of any people, obliterated. A mere 3 years later, out of the ashes of the Holocaust, the refugees of those who survived mostly that slaughter of Jews start coming back to the land of Israel and create a state. And this is a state that has no natural resources, a state poor in even water. A teeny little state, surrounded by hostile Arab neighbors, which has been in a constant state of warfare and terrorism since its inception, economic blockade. All kinds of problems, having to absorb literally millions of immigrants. And a country often run by, like crazy socialist, left-wing ideology, economic policies that are counter to being productive and to creating a truly capitalistic society. The joke is, how do you create a small fortune in Israel? Come with a large one. Everything was stacked against the Jewish people from within and without. The wars, the terrorism, the lack of resources, the economic restrictions, you name it. Yet, despite all of that, in a few years, the desert that was the land of Israel blooms, and the desert is exporting fruits and vegetables to the rest of the world. That Israel's economy zooms up. In 1997, less than 40 years after the founding of the State of Israel, the International Monetary Fund takes Israel off a list of developing nations and lists it as a fully developed first world nation with the 19th highest standard of living in the world, equal to that of Great Britain's. The highest number of high-tech startups outside Silicon Valley, the largest number of companies traded publicly on the New York Stock Exchange, outside the United States, the largest amount of venture capital invested virtually anywhere in this part of the world. Israel, boom, boom, you name it, it's unbelievable. Israel, the miracle on the Mediterranean. That used to be the motto of the Ministry of Tourism. And that's really one of the most beautiful things to focus on. Sure, there's been wars and a very difficult situation and terrorism. The prospects for true peace look very bleak. But one of the most important things we have to take a step back and look at is how miraculous it is that out of the ashes of the Holocaust, on a little sliver of real estate on the Mediterranean, given all the incredible problems that have happened to the Jewish people and all the difficulties and obstacles, that a Jewish state was reborn, a Jewish state prospered and grew and has now become the largest Jewish community in the world. That is truly one of the great miracles of Jewish history and one of the great miracles of all of modern human history.